The flag wasn't just fabrice, it was Tom's last tether to his fallen son. Karen didn't care, her voice shrill enough to wake the dead. On a gray November morning in Pinewood, a small town where everyone knew your name but not always your story, the cemetery was supposed to be quiet. It wasn't. Karen, in her signature leopard print scarf and oversized sunglasses, stormed toward Tom, a 78-year-old veteran, as he knelt by his son's grave, clutching a folded American flag. The kind presented at military funerals. The kind that carries a weight no one can measure. Tom had been coming here every Sunday since his son, Michael, died in Afghanistan 12 years ago. He'd traced the name etched in stone, Captain Michael T. Hayes, and whisper promises to keep his memory alive. The flag, pristine despite its years, was Tom's ritual, his way of holding onto a piece of Michael. But Karen, the self-appointed watchdog of Pinewood's standards, had other plans. She'd seen Tom's beat-up truck parked near the cemetery gate, its faded "Proud Veteran" sticker an eyesore to her. She'd heard whispers of Tom's obsession with the flag, how he'd carry it to the grave like some relic. To Karen, it was disrespectful, a prop for attention. She wasn't wrong, often, at least not in her own mind. "You're defiling that flag," she snapped, her voice cutting through the damp air like a siren. Tom froze, his arthritic hands tightening around the folded cloth. The small crowd locals gathered for a Memorial Day prep gasped. Karen didn't stop. "It's supposed to be flown, not dragged around like some rag. Hand it over." She lunged, her manicured nails grazing the flag's edge. Tom staggered back, his bad knee buckling, but he held firm. His eyes, weathered by loss, burned with a fire Karen didn't expect. This wasn't just about a flag. It was about Pinewood's unspoken divides: old versus new, tradition versus progress, sacrifice versus entitlement. Karen, who'd moved to town 5 years ago with her real estate developer husband, had made a name for herself. She'd gotten the local diner to stop serving unhealthy fries, forced the library to remove problematic books, and once called the police on a kid flying a drone too close to her cul-de-sac. To her, Pinewood was a canvas for her vision of perfection. Tom, with his quiet grief and stubborn pride, didn't fit. The crowd grew. A few phones were out recording. Karen, sensing an audience, doubled down. "You're disrespecting every soldier who died for that flag," she shouted, though she'd never known loss like Tom's. Her words were a performance, each one calculated to paint her as the patriot, the hero. Tom's voice, low and trembling, cut through her tirade. "This was my son's, ma'am. You don't get to take it." His simplicity disarmed her for a moment, but Karen wasn't one to back down. She grabbed for the flag again, this time yanking it from Tom's hands. He stumbled, falling to one knee, his palm hitting the cold earth beside Michael's headstone. Gasps turned to murmurs. A woman in the crowd, Mrs. Ellis, who'd taught Tom in Sunday school decades ago, stepped forward. "Karen, stop it," she pleaded. But Karen, clutching the flag like a trophy, spun to face the crowd. "This is about respect," she declared, holding the flag aloft. "He's making a mockery of it." The irony was lost on her. Her triumph built on a veteran's pain. Tom, still on the ground, looked up, his face a map of grief and fury. "You don't know what respect is," he said, voice barely above a whisper. Enter Daniel Hayes, Tom's grandson, who'd been watching from the hill. At 32, Daniel was Pinewood's youngest circuit court judge, known for his calm demeanor and unshakable sense of justice. He'd come to pay his respects to his father, Michael, when he saw the commotion. Now, striding down the hill, his black robe billowing in the wind, he looked less like a judge and more like a man ready to defend his blood. The crowd parted. Karen, oblivious, kept ranting until Daniel's voice boomed, "That's enough." Karen froze. She knew Daniel, everyone did. The boy who'd lost his father, who'd risen through law school on grit and scholarships, who now sat on the bench with a reputation for fairness. But fairness wasn't what Karen saw in his eyes now. It was something fiercer, something personal. "Give him back the flag," Daniel said, each word deliberate. Karen clutched it tighter, her defiance wavering. "This isn't your business, Judge," she spat, but her voice cracked. "It's my father's flag," Daniel said, stepping closer. The crowd went silent. Karen's face paled. She hadn't cared to know the story behind the flag. To her, it was a symbol to wield, not a relic of sacrifice. Daniel's presence shifted the air. He wasn't just a judge now. He was a son, a grandson, a man carrying the weight of his family's loss. "You took it from a veteran who buried his son. You think that's respect?" Karen stammered, her usual confidence crumbling. The crowd's eyes bore into her. She thrust the flag back at Tom, muttering about misunderstandings. But no one was listening. Tom took the flag, his hands shaking, and pressed it to his chest. Daniel helped him stand, his arms steady around his grandfather's shoulders. The moment felt sacred, untouchable, but the tension lingered. Karen, humiliated, stormed off, her heels sinking into the damp grass. The story didn't end there. Pinewood buzzed for weeks. The video of Karen's outburst went viral on X, shared with captions like, "Karen versus veteran, epic takedown." Some called her a monster. Others, a small but vocal few, defended her, claiming she was protecting the flag's honor. Karen doubled down online, posting lengthy rants about small-town ignorance and overreacting veterans. She didn't apologize. Instead, she filed a complaint against Tom for public disturbance, claiming his aggressive behavior provoked her. The irony was staggering. Daniel, as judge, couldn't touch the case. It was a conflict of interest. But Pinewood's court was small, and the case landed before Judge Clara Thompson, a no-nonsense woman who'd known Tom for decades. The hearing was a spectacle. Karen, in a tailored blazer, spun a tale of victimhood, painting Tom as unstable, the flag as a prop. Tom, in his worn flannel, said little, letting the flag now neatly folded on the table speak for itself. The courtroom was packed, the air thick with anticipation. Clara's ruling was swift. The complaint was dismissed. Karen was ordered to pay a fine for disturbing the peace and to attend community service at the local VFW, where veterans gathered. "You'll learn what respect means," Clara said, her voice like steel. The crowd erupted in applause, but Tom didn't smile. He just clutched the flag tighter. The aftermath was bitter. Karen left Pinewood, her husband's business deals soured by the scandal. The town, though, didn't heal easily. The divide between those who saw Karen as a villain and those who saw her as misunderstood grew. Tom kept visiting Michael's grave, but now, some locals whispered he'd caused trouble. Daniel, torn between his role as judge and grandson, struggled to stay impartial. The flag, once a private symbol of love, became a public lightning rod. In the end, no one won. Karen's life unraveled, but not because of justice, because of her own refusal to see beyond herself. Tom kept his flag, but the memory of that day tainted his ritual. Daniel, caught between duty and family, carried a new weight. Pinewood's scars lingered, a reminder that even small towns can fracture under the weight of pride and misunderstanding. What do you think? Did Karen's punishment fit her actions? Or was the town too harsh? Share your thoughts on where justice lies when personal pain clashes with public outrage.